Hello and welcome back to another Gunpla review. Today we're taking a look at the high-grade Build Divers HIMOC. Now this kit probably doesn't need much of an introduction. It's a pretty basic design from the original Build Fighters. Pretty obviously based on the Scope Dog. I mean seriously. Pretty blatant, but I do apologize for the lack of stickers. I'm actually going to be customizing this, so I didn't want to throw them on it and then have to take them off again, but I'll go over the stickers when we get to accessories, so it'll be fine. Anyway, as always, let's start off this review by taking a look at the articulation. Alright, getting into the articulation, let's start with the head. It is actually impeded. That's as far as it goes. If I can get it off, you can see it has a little piece of plastic in the front that goes down here. You could just cut that off. Honestly, it would be a pretty easy modification. That just slides in there, and then the polycap fits in, and just a rotation. Now the shoulders are actually on a forward-facing polycap, so they can come across the chest, and they get a pretty decent range out about 90 degrees. They get a rotation up, so I mean not really anything impeding the shoulders. It's just a circle anyway. Full rotation at the upper arm and 2 joints at the elbow. However, just because of the bulk of everything, it doesn't get a full bend, but it's still okay. And the hand, as always, is on a ball joint. However, the ball joint is pretty deep in there, so you don't get a lot of movement out of it. Get a little bit of a wiggle and a full rotation. Now the chest is actually a ball joint, and then another ball joint down at the waist. Nothing in the back. The hip skirts are hinged and also on a very tight peg, so they can rotate. No movement in the hips, it's just forward, back, and due to how bulky this is, it does kind of get limited a bit. You're not going to be getting any crazy poses out of this thing. And yeah, it's not going out to the side. Just a really, really bulky hip piece. If you turn it this way, it'll rotate out, but I mean at that point it's upside down, so you have to rotate the leg again. Speaking of which, there is a full rotation at the thigh. Then there is a double jointed knee, which actually gets pretty deep. And then the ankle is actually a ball joint on a hinge, and then a second ball joint in the foot. So you get a pretty decent range going on. Not very much to the back, but plenty to the front. So there are a few weak points here and there, but the articulation's pretty solid, all things considered. The hips are a little bit limited though. Now getting into accessories, let's start off as always with the sticker sheet. You have the eye, and then these other red stickers go here on the shoulders. Like I said, painting the kit, so I left them off. Next up is the beam rifle, which is kind of basic, a little bit ugly, kind of looks a little broken, honestly. Very basic, just 2 pieces of plastic, but it does fit pretty well into the hand, which is good. You do actually have to take the back of the hand off because of this little thing on the bottom. Slide it into the hand at a decent depth, so it kind of looks like it's holding a trigger. and it's held pretty securely. Does kind of bang up against this a little bit, also the hand falls out. Because there's a polycap so deep in, I think. Speaking of polycaps, let's talk about the customization of this thing, which is probably why you would be interested in getting one. The Heimak is a pretty basic grunt suit, but it has a lot of opportunities to modify it, and fairly easily at that. The backpack obviously has 6 3mm ports on it, and then it also attaches by the standard 2-peg system. So you can attach a different backpack if you want, or you can use this pack on another kit. Up here in the shoulder, if I can get it off, I'll use a part separator because it'll be easier. He says not being able to get it off. Come on. Give me a moment. Okay, that wasn't too bad. It's better for it to be on securely. It does use a polycap. That's probably why it's so hard to get out. This is a cap, just 3mm port hole there. Pegs in. These are also 3mm pegs. Come on. Actually genuinely quite like this piece. I may end up using it on a Portanova or something. If I can get it off, come on. There we go. It's just a 3mm peg. And honestly, the arms look perfectly fine without them. It's a little bit less armored, but it doesn't look too bad. So if you wanted to still build this and use these on something else, you could. I do want to apologize for all these nub marks, by the way. The green plastic was absolute hell to try and clean up. These are also 3mm pegs because it uses the standard polycap. These are also 3mm pegs using polycaps. And all 4 of these gray panels have 3mm ports underneath them. So this kit is basically made for customization. Also, since these are so deep in there, you can actually plug this in, and I believe this is a master grade ball joint size, if I remember correctly. Basically, since these hands are so big, regular high grade hands don't really work with it. Now moving on to a quick size comparison, and it's actually a little bit short for a high grade. Of course, given how bulky it is, it kind of makes up for it, but yeah, don't expect this thing to be massive. So, to wrap this review up, you do have to keep in mind that this kit is fairly cheap, and it only uses 2 runners and a massive load of polycaps, but color separation is pretty low. Even with the stickers, it's not entirely color accurate. There's supposed to be a lighter, more washed out green on the upper limbs and also some on the backpack. It's pretty good for customization, which is why I bought it, but if you just want a straight built kit, there's better options. There's better options for this price. In fact, 30-minute mission kits are only a couple dollars more, and they're significantly nicer in my opinion. However, I do quite like how the lower limbs look, the lower legs, the lower arms, and also the chest itself. I may kit bash this into something at some point, or it may just end up painting it, I don't know. There are quite nice pieces to this kit, even if on the whole I think it's a little bit lacking. But like I said, if you're going to customize it, the articulation's solid enough, and there's plenty of 3mm ports for easy modification. Anyway, that's been it for this review. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for future reviews and watch my backlog. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, until next time, happy building.